Donald Trump refuses to accept this fake, pathetic, mutilated version of the American dream. When he was president, young people were richer than ever before, and he will do it again.
A single shot, a stunned crowd, and a controversial figure silenced. Charlie Kirk, the firebrand face of America's conservative youth movement, is now at the center of the nation's most chilling political death in years. For years, he dominated headlines with polarizing views, viral rants, and powerful allies. Was this the tragic result of years of political division? Or something even darker? From explosive campus speeches to a fatal shot on a university quad, we'll break down the rise, fall, and haunting aftermath of one of the most talked about conservatives in America. The rise of a firestarter. Before the headlines, before the fury, Charlie Kirk was just a teenager with a mission. At 18 years old, while most of his peers were still deciding on majors, Kirk was launching a political movement. In 2012, he founded Turning Point USA, an organization built to combat what he called the liberal bias on college campuses. Charlie Kirk himself explained his mission bluntly. Somebody was like, "What are you doing there?" Exactly. We as Christians, conservatives, have to go places that we've never been before, especially the ones where we're not always in the predominant viewpoint.
Yeah.
I did say, no, church is not a scam. Church is the bride of Christ. College is a scam. And college is, people are going into debt. They're paying a lot of money.
What started as a scrappy grassroots effort soon evolved into a nationwide network, complete with student chapters, massive annual events, and a constant stream of viral content aimed at conservative youth. Kirk wasn't a typical conservative figure. He skipped college entirely, but built his credibility by sheer persistence, aggressive messaging, and an uncanny ability to tap into the frustrations of young, right-leaning Americans. He leaned hard into social media, gaining massive traction with bite-sized videos filled with confrontation, sarcasm, and catchphrases. He framed himself as the antidote to political correctness, and that message landed, especially with Gen Z and millennial conservatives who felt censored or ignored. And as the spotlight grew hotter, so did the backlash. The controversy magnet. With fame came fire, and Charlie Kirk never shied away from it. In fact, many would argue he thrived on controversy, using backlash as fuel to double down rather than back down. As Turning Point USA grew into a powerhouse on college campuses, so too did the outrage surrounding it. Students protested his events, professors denounced him, and online critics dissected every soundbite. But for Kirk, controversy was part of the strategy. One of the earliest flashpoints came during TPUSA's college tours. Kirk often appeared on stage with security guards nearby, fully expecting chaos, and chaos often delivered. At the University of Nevada, a heated exchange with a student over immigration policy went viral. At Ohio State, walkouts disrupted his speech before he even finished his opening remarks. Protesters labeled him a promoter of hate speech, citing TPUSA's stances on race, gender, and LGBTQ+ issues. Kirk pushed back, claiming censorship and an attack on free speech. As one student protester at a rally declared, Charlie Kirk promotes hate speech and exclusion under the guise of free speech. We're here to say our campus rejects that. Then came the COVID-19 era, and the stakes got higher. Kirk was accused of spreading misinformation about lockdowns and vaccines, even suggesting early on that the pandemic was being used to suppress individual liberties.
Lockdowns were completely unnecessary. They should never have happened. And the young people of the West lost proms, graduation, whatever equivalent you have here in the UK, for no good reason whatsoever.
His social media posts were flagged or removed, but that only grew his base's distrust of mainstream platforms. Later, in the wake of the 2020 election, Kirk became one of the loudest voices questioning its legitimacy. Though he stopped short of fully endorsing conspiracy theories, his constant insinuations were enough to land him under the spotlight once again. Yet no amount of outrage could have predicted what would happen next, because the next time Kirk made headlines, it wouldn't be for what he said, but for what was done to him. The day of the shooting. September 10th, 2025, began like any other high-profile appearance for Charlie Kirk. He was invited to speak at Utah Valley University, addressing an outdoor crowd of roughly 3,000 people gathered in the campus quad. Seated under a white gazebo, Kirk was in the middle of a Q&A session, fielding a question, ironically, about gun violence, when everything changed in an instant. At approximately 12:20 p.m. local time, a loud crack echoed across the courtyard. At first, some in the audience thought it was a sound system glitch, but the moment was captured on several phones. Kirk suddenly recoiled in his chair. Blood was visible on his neck. Panic swept through the crowd. Screams erupted as students and attendees ducked for cover, scattering in all directions. What made the attack even more chilling was how calculated it appeared to be. According to Utah's Department of Public Safety, the shooter had positioned themselves on a nearby rooftop and fired only one shot. A sniper-style execution that instantly turned a political event into a crime scene. This wasn't a random act of violence. It was, in the words of investigators, a targeted political assassination. On Truth Social, Donald Trump mourned, "The great, and even legendary, Charlie Kirk is dead." No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now, he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife Erica and family. Charlie, we love you. But who pulled the trigger and why? As law enforcement closes in, the investigation raises even more questions than it answers. Manhunt, motives, and misdirection. In the hours following Charlie Kirk's assassination, law enforcement mobilized fast, but answers came slowly. Within minutes, local police, SWAT teams, and campus security locked down Utah Valley University. Drones circled the area, snipers scanned rooftops, and roads were blocked off for miles. But the shooter had vanished. Authorities confirmed what many had already feared. This was no random act. The Utah Department of Public Safety revealed that the bullet came from a nearby rooftop, fired with deadly precision. The attack had all the markings of a planned hit. Only one shot was fired, but it was enough to end the life of one of the country's most polarizing conservative figures. And then came the flood of theories, each more explosive than the last. Was it the work of a radical political extremist? A disgruntled former follower? An inside job? Social media exploded with speculation. Hashtags like Justice for Kirk and Who Shot Charlie trended globally. On Truth Social, Donald Trump called it a dark day for America and directly blamed the radical left's dangerous rhetoric for escalating political violence. Others urged caution, fearing the nation was hurtling toward even greater polarization. Former President Barack Obama echoed that sentiment.
The former president of the United States, Barack Obama, has condoled the death of Charlie Kirk as well. He has stated that we don't know yet what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk.
But amid the chaos, one thing is clear. Charlie Kirk's death is reshaping the conservative movement, and the country is bracing for what comes next. Fallout and political shockwaves. Charlie Kirk's assassination didn't just end a life. It sent shockwaves through the heart of American politics. Within hours of the announcement, statements poured in from across the political spectrum. President Donald Trump called it a dark day for America and used the moment to condemn what he described as a growing tolerance for violence against conservatives. Former President Joe Biden likewise condemned the attack. There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. Surprisingly, even Kirk's ideological opponents voiced outrage. Prominent Democrats, including President Kamala Harris and Senator Bernie Sanders, condemned the act as a violation of democratic discourse, calling for unity in the face of rising extremism. But beneath the public mourning, the political fallout was swift and intense. Turning Point USA, the organization Kirk built from scratch, now finds itself in limbo. Internal sources report disagreements over how to respond, whether to double down on Kirk's confrontational style or pivot toward a more traditional conservative message. Some insiders believe a power struggle is already underway, as various lieutenants vie for control of the brand and its millions in funding and media reach. Meanwhile, Kirk's death has reignited the national debate around political violence and ideological warfare. Media pundits have been split. Some blame online extremism and toxic rhetoric from both sides, while others see Kirk's death as the most extreme consequence of escalating hostility toward conservative voices on college campuses. Protests and vigils have popped up across the country, some honoring Kirk, others decrying the perceived martyrdom of a man they saw as divisive. If you were shocked by this story, you're not alone. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns of the biggest political moments shaking the country. And don't miss our next video, where we look at the hidden power struggles brewing inside Turning Point USA after Kirk's death.